in the path of Vichara Marga, or the path of self-inquiry. Today's topic is natural state or Sahajavastha. The state of enlightenment is called natural state. I am calling it as natural state because enlightenment is not something to be achieved. Enlightenment is your natural state. In Sanskrit it's called Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means liberated while somebody is alive. He has become free from bondage. Now Jivan Mukti is also not a state of some privileged few. Jivan Mukti is the state of all, everybody is Jivan Mukta. Everybody by nature is in Sahaja Avastha, by nature. But they don't know it. Recognizing your natural state as Sahaja Avastha or natural state as enlightened state, a person becomes a Jnani or a wise one. But the natural state or Jivan Mukti is common for an enlightened one, a sage, or a common man. It is not a privilege of some few. It is not that one day somebody becomes enlightened. It is not that one day somebody becomes Jivan Mukta. Everybody by birth, by nature, they are Jivan Mukta. Their essential nature is Jivan Mukti. And this is called Sahaja Avastha. It is called natural state. It can be also called Swasthiti. Swasthiti means being in this, being the self. Okay, being the self. In Ayurveda, the medical system, ancient medical system of India, the natural state of a human being is called swasthya. Swasthya means healthy. Somebody is healthy. Swasthya. Swastha means when he is in his own natural state, he is healthy. Swasthya. When somebody is moved away from natural state temporarily, it's called aswasthya. The doctor gives a medicine and he returns back to swasthya, or his natural healthy condition. Swa means self. When he is with he is in his natural self, he is healthy. When he is a disturbed self, he is unhealthy. So what is your natural condition? Swasthya, or being healthy. Similarly, enlightenment or Sahajavastha is your natural state. Okay? It is not that something you get, it is not that something which you achieve. Doctor can give a medicine for your disease, but doctor cannot give you health. Similarly, Sahajavastha or natural state is already there for you, is natural for you. It's your swasthiti, means your state of yourself. Okay? So from that, if you are disturbed, that's called samsara or bondage. But the bondage is temporary because it's not natural to you. The Guru gives a teaching to remove the ignorance which has caused you the disturbance. But you go back to your natural state. You are already in natural state. So that's why Jivan Mukti or enlightenment or Sahajavastha is the natural state of everybody. Please understand, it's not a special state. It is everybody is in that state, but they don't know, they don't recognize it. One who recognizes it is called Jnani. One who recognizes his natural state is called Jnani. One who recognizes his natural state is called a sage or a wise man. One who doesn't recognize this is called Adnani, a ignorant person. Is the distinction clear? So let us understand what is the meaning of Sahaja Avastha or natural state. I am pure consciousness, existence and bliss or peace. This conviction, the deep-rooted conviction is called Sahajavastha. My nature is existence, consciousness, bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda. I am of the nature of reality. The reality is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss is my nature. I am Sat, Chit, Ananda. This deep-rooted conviction is called Sahajavastha. Then natural state. What is unnatural state? So person thinks, I am suffering. Okay? I am the body. I am the mind. I am the intellect. I am husband. I am wife. All this self-identity is called unnatural state. These are not natural. And the person who lives with this, lives with the understanding that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, I am a man, I am a woman, I am suffering, is living in an unnatural state. It's not natural. And that unnatural state is called samsara. And such a person is called Adnani or ignorant. Ignorant of what? His own natural state. Just like a person, just like an ignorant man or Adnani has a conviction that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. Jnani or a sage or a wise man has a conviction that I am existence, consciousness, bliss. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. This conviction is there for a Jnani. This difference is between Jnani and Adnani. A sage, a wise man and ignorant man. Right? One who has this conviction is called, conviction is in natural state. The conviction is deep rooted. It doesn't get shaken in the face of any difficulty. Are we clear? So what is the conviction that Jnani has? Nanu, Nanembudu, Nanalla, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivananu Nane, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. A Jnani has a total conviction that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness, Shivaswarupi. Just like any other ordinary human being or an ignorant person has a conviction that I am the body. Right? So now this conviction for the Jnani has come through self-enquiry, Atma Vichara, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, contemplation. He has realized his own true nature. It's not that he has got something. Okay? Please understand, there is a feeling that enlightenment is something to be achieved. No. The state of natural state or Sahajasthiti is what you already have. Dropping of the ignorance is what you have to achieve. You have to drop the ignorance, not achieve enlightenment. The natural state is already there. The Jivan Mukti state is already there. Sahajavastha is already there. It's not something to be achieved. Right? So it is like a person, he has a mental disorder. He believes he is a rat and he goes to the psychiatrist and says, I have a problem. I am believing that I am a rat. The psychiatrist does a lot of counseling and tells him, you are not a rat, you are a human being. Okay? Then this guy is convinced. He was a human being before also. It is not that he was not a human being. He is a human being only. But he thinks he is a rat. Okay. The psychiatrist brings back him to, makes him recognize he is a human being. Huh? Corrects his understanding, wrong understanding. Then after some days he comes back running to psychiatrist, saying that the psychiatrist asks him, what is the problem? He says, I know I am not a rat, I am a human being, but cat in my house doesn't recognize that. Does the cat in my house know I am a human being? Right? Here you have to see, the psychiatrist is equivalent of a guru, the spiritual master. The spiritual master doesn't make a rat into human being. The human being thinking he is a rat. Correct? So like that, all human beings, they start thinking that I am a body, I am a man, I am a woman. Okay? So the guru points out to him, the human being has two parts, human and being. You are the really being, but you are thinking you are human. The guru doesn't bring any changes within the person. He is only making him understand the right thing. You think you are a human being, but you are only giving emphasis to human part. Really you are a being. Human part has a lot of problems in life. Human part has a lot of difficulties in life. But being is free from all this. You are really being. Recognize that. This is how Guru teaches a disciple. The disciple is thinking that he is a human. Okay, like a man, a psychiatric patient thinks he is a rat. Psychiatrist doesn't make him from rat to human being. He just points out you are a human being. Then this person goes back and sees a cat and comes back to the psychiatrist, because his wrong understanding is not gone fully. His impressions are still there. I am a rat. The psychiatrist is to again correct. Similarly, a teaching that you are not a human being, you are emphasizing on the human part, but you are really a being, Atma. Being means Atma, the self, which is pure. This is the teaching of the Guru. The Guru brings the correction in the understanding in the disciple. He doesn't, enlightenment is not a state to be achieved. Enlightenment is already what you are. By correcting the wrong understanding, you recognize your true natural state. By understanding that I am a being, I am Atma, using the human body, there is a correction happens. Right? So many people, there are many states, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, coma, okay, unconscious state, and samadhi. Samadhi means many of the spiritual states. Many of the people go into ecstasy, joy, elated joy, or a deep silence. These are all called states. These are all mental states. These are not your natural states. You understand? What is natural is there throughout the 24 hours a day. Not even a moment it drops from you. Anything which is coming and going, anything which is temporary. I am sitting in samadhi. Very good. How long? Half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days. Then you would come out of samadhi. That's a temporary state. What is temporary is always not natural state. Are you clear? Your natural people mistake the samadhi as realization. No. Samadhi is a practice. It helps in bringing the mind under control, reducing some impressions. But samadhi is not realization. Because you enter into samadhi, you come out of samadhi. Okay. Your natural state, you neither enter nor come out. You are already there all the time. What are you there all the time? Yourself, the I principle, what you call as Atma or consciousness, is there in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Do you exist in deep sleep state? Yes, I exist. Are you conscious in deep sleep state? Yes, because you are conscious that there is nothing else. You are aware that there is nothing else. Awareness is there, existence is there, consciousness is there. You are blissful in deep sleep state. So your existence, consciousness, bliss is fully manifested in deep sleep state. It is partially manifested in the waking and dream state. Your nature of the self is partially expressed in the waking state. In the waking state, you are aware that you exist, you are conscious. I exist, I am conscious. That's why you say I am, where I points to exist consciousness and am points to existence. But bliss is something which you search for in the waking state and the dream state. Right? So that I am principle in you is pointing to Atma, which is always there with you. It doesn't part with you. In Samadhi it is there, in unconscious state is there, in dream state is there, deep sleep state is there. So that is called natural state. The I am principle in you. So nobody has to gain it, it's already you have it. But only you have to remove the ignorance associated with the I am. Right? One of the great ignorances is I have to get enlightened is the ignorance. That means I have to become something. You cannot become anything. You have to recognize where I am, the real nature of I am. Are we clear? So you have to differentiate between the temporary states and natural state. Natural state doesn't leave you. Natural state is what you are. I am is already what is there, you are. In the deep sleep state, the I am, the nature of I am is fully exposed, which is existence, consciousness, bliss. In the waking state, a part of it is not expressed. The bliss is not expressed. Because the mind in the waking state is very active. That mind starts superimposing lot of things on the self. The body is superimposed on the self, so that's why you feel limited. The consciousness is unlimited, infinite. Okay, the mind is superimposed on you, that's why happiness and unhappiness is superimposed on the self. So the ignorance of the mind has to be removed in the waking state. That's all is Atma, and that can be done through Atma Vichara. It is not that enlightenment is a state which is to be achieved. Enlightenment is a state to be recognized as my natural state, which is I am. Right? We have to understand the I am in totality. We are understanding I am in partial. We are understanding wrongly in the waking state. I am body, we are thinking. That's a wrong understanding. Superimposition is happening. So now, how do you know you are in a sahaja state, natural state or not? What is the test for that? Is there a test? If I ask you, who are you? The deepest and first response comes is, I am existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchidananda Shivoham. If that is the response, you are in natural state. That's all is the test. There is no other test. It is not for telling to somebody, but for you. That's why there is a story in there's a story in life of Sri Shankaracharya. Sri Shankaracharya was traveling. Okay, while he was traveling, he came to a village, and in that village, the villagers brought a boy to Sri Shankaracharya. Please bless this boy. He is 8-year-old. So far he has not spoken a single word. He is an idiot. Okay. Then Shankaracharya asked him, boy, who are you? Then the boy speaks a beautiful sloka. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. Okay. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness. Satchidananda Shivoham, Shivoham, I am pure consciousness. This boy is called Nirvana Shatakam. The first utterance of the boy is Nirvana Shatakam. Okay? He is fully established in the natural state. He is already enlightened, the boy. For any other boy, if you ask the name, he will say, my name is this much, I am son of so and so. The first response is about the body, or I am son of somebody. Here the response is, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness. Okay? I am divine consciousness. This is the response which came from the boy. The boy is in natural state. So Sri Shankaracharya asks him, why you didn't speak for 8 years? The boy says, how can I speak to these ignorant people who are very fully body conscious? They can't understand what I speak. So, the test for you, if you have reached a natural state, is if somebody asks you, who are you? The inner response, not outer response. I am pure consciousness. I am not the body, mind or intellect. I am pure consciousness, Shivaswarupi. That is the deep-rooted conviction which comes. Then you are in natural state. Is that clear? That should be the first innermost response. Because what is deep-rooted only can come as the innermost response. Right? So, a person in natural state, he may look like an ordinary person. He doesn't distinguish from any other person. Because from the outer look, he is a common man. But deep inside, he is able to distinguish very clearly what is Atma and what is Anatma. The self and non-self, he is very clearly able to distinguish. The Atma means the self, whose nature is pure consciousness, awareness. Anatma means objects of consciousness, which is thought, feeling, emotion, body, mind. All these things are objects of consciousness. Objects of consciousness appear and disappear, but consciousness itself never appears and disappears. Right? So he is able to distinguish between the objects of consciousness and self. Discrimination is there very clearly. Are you able to understand? The intellect has become so sharp and subtle. The discrimination is happening every minute, every second. He will never be confused. Okay? So this discrimination ability is called a sharpened intellect. A intellect which is sharpened can only do this discrimination. A dull intellect or intellect which is focused on objects is not able to do that. Okay. So there is a saying, it's okay. There's a saying, there's a respective honorary title given to such a person in Indian spiritual traditions. It's called Paramahamsa. Hamsa means a swan. Okay. Hamsa is also called individual consciousness or Jiva. Jiva is called Hamsa because when we breathe in and breathe out, we make a sound. Hamsa. That's why Jiva or individual consciousness is called Hamsa. Okay. There is a saying, there's a legend that the bird called Hamsa, it's a swan, is able to separate out milk and water and drink only milk. It's able to separate out. That's why a Gnani or enlightened one is called Paramhamsa. The same Hamsa has become Paramhamsa. Paramhamsa is great swan. How he has become a great swan? He is able to distinguish the Atma and Anatma. They separate out the self from the non-self. He will never confuse the self with the non-self. He will never mix up the self with the non-self. Atma with the Anatma. Okay? Because his intellect has become so sharp. And he is always established in his real nature, which is the self, Atma. Are you getting what I am saying? Such a person is called, by respectfully called, Paramahamsa, means great swan. Hamsa means Jiva. Paramahamsa means great Jiva, a great swan, who is able to distinguish self and the non-self. Now, A Gnani or a sage has always the clarity. Who is self, what is he, what is he not. So if somebody asks a Gnani, let's say Sri Ramana Maharshi, did you have your food? Ramana Maharshi says, I ate my food. Okay. The food eating has happened. Eating of the food is done by the body. But Ramana Maharshi says, I ate food as if the self is eating food. Right? But deep inside, Sri Ramana Maharshi knows very well that the self doesn't eat food. The self is the witness of body eating the food. Right? He doesn't mix up the self with the non-self, body with the Atma anytime, internal. But he doesn't confuse people by saying that no, my body is eating food, I am witnessing it. He doesn't say that. For communication purpose, he may still continue the same communication language what he has used earlier. Right? But inside his language, inside his mind, the body is eating food, I am the witness of the food, eating the food. That clarity is there. Right? Whereas for a common man, if you ask that he is eating food, yes, I ate food. Now in this I, which is the self, and eating food has got mixed up. The Atma and Anatma has got mixed up. A common man is called Jiva, individual soul. As Sri Ramana Maharshi is called Paramahamsa, because he is able to distinguish the self from the non-self. He doesn't confuse self from the non-self. But doesn't mean that his language will change. He may use the same language which is used earlier. But internally, he is very clear. Right? Then same Ramana Maharshi or a sage, if you are asked, who are you? He may say, I am Brahman. Okay, I am pure consciousness, he may say. Now he is referring not to the body, but to the self. The body is not pure consciousness. The self is consciousness. Right? So, the language when a Gnani uses may differ depending on the listener. Somebody is asking whether you ate food, he will say, I ate food, where self and non-self seems to be mixed up for the listener, but not for the Gnani. Whereas, when the Gnani teaches, I am pure consciousness, Shiva Swarup, he is referring to self only. He is removing the non-self. Right? So, Gnani is able to switch between the self and non-self, or understand the difference between non-self and self all the time, and he is able to communicate depending on the occasion without getting internally confused. Whereas Adnani doesn't know this distinction. He is always, for him, the self means body. And this is called Jivatma Buddhi. So that's why Gnani is always eternally in the natural state or the state of self. It's called Swasthiti. Are we clear? Is this very clear? So now, how does a Gnani experience the world? The self is consciousness and everything is an object. A thought is an object, feeling is an object, emotion is an object, and everything in the world is an object. Right? So Gnani knows I am self, I am consciousness all the time. He is centered around that. Okay. Let us see the difference between Gnani and Adnani. I am seeing an apple. Okay. A Gnani sees an apple and a Adnani sees an apple. Is there a difference? What is the difference? The Adnani sees apple as the reality. The focus is not on the I, the self part, which is consciousness part. So Gnani sees apple as apple consciousness. His focus is on the self, consciousness part. Every object for him is that object consciousness. The chair is chair consciousness. The table is table consciousness. The fan is fan consciousness. For him, his focus is on the consciousness aspect of seeing. Whereas Adnani's aspect is the form aspect of seeing. He is only focused on the form of apple. Whereas Jnani is conscious, he is apple conscious, table conscious. He is conscious of the table. Everything, object consciousness. The focus of Jnani is consciousness part of the object experience. Every experience has a consciousness part and object part. So Jnani is always aware of consciousness part, whereas Adnani is only focused on the object as reality. Are you getting what I am saying? Right? It's, for example, somebody is going during twilight, evening time, is going in a forest. He sees a snake. He is scared, he is worried. He is afraid of a snake. There is a heartbeat, the palpitation happens. Then he switches on the light and sees it's not a snake but a rope. Okay. The moment he sees the rope, his fear has come down. Now he switches off the torch. Still he is able to see the snake because the light is like that. Lighting conditions are like that. He is seeing only snake only. Appearance is snake only. But does he call it a snake or rope? He calls it as a rope because he knows it is a rope. He is not afraid anymore. Okay. So Jnani, when he sees the world, he knows that the world is an appearance of consciousness self. I principle is appearing as world. Okay. Whereas it's like a rope appearing as snake. Now Jnani knows that it's not a snake. Jnani knows it's a rope. So Jnani knows it's not a world. It's consciousness only. It's Atma only, the self only. Right? Whereas a Adnani, he sees the world and the world is terrifying because there's so much of complexity, so much of tension and competition is there in the world. He doesn't see the rope. His focus is on the name and form, whereas Jnani's focus is on the underlying consciousness. Right? So this is the difference between the way Jnani sees the world and Adnani sees the world. So Jnani is in natural state because he sees what is there, which is consciousness. The consciousness only is appearing as the world. He sees his own self appearing as world. He is not fooled by the appearance, his focus is on the self aspect. Now, the perception is same for a Jnani or Adnani. The perception is same for a Jnani or Adnani. It is same. But confusion is different for the Adnani. That's all. The difference is not in perception. Difference is in the confusion. Jnani also perceives the world. Adnani also perceives the world. But Adnani confuses. Jnani doesn't get confused. Jnani has a clarity. Okay. Perception is same. Perception doesn't change. How did the clarity of Jnani come? Through Atma Vichara. Self-enquiry. He recognizes his own true self and he recognizes himself in the world. Right? So, let us say, I see the apple, perception. Okay? Before I perceive the apple, I have to perceive myself. I have to become self-conscious before I become conscious of an apple. The two things which happen simultaneously. Self-consciousness comes first. If I am not conscious of myself, I cannot see apple. Right? Self-awareness comes first. Then awareness of apple comes next. Self-awareness and awareness of apple. Awareness of apple appears as thought, apple thought. Right? So self-awareness comes first. Okay. Then awareness of apple appears in the form of apple consciousness. So in this whole process, self-consciousness and apple consciousness, then form of apple is there. The form of apple keeps changing. The form of it can be apple, it can be flower. The form can change, but the consciousness doesn't change. Self-consciousness appearing as a consciousness object. So Jnani's focus is always on the consciousness part. For him, the appearance of apple or flower is temporary, it's mithya or unreal. The underlying reality is consciousness only. So thus, Jnani with his eyes fully open, he is in natural state. He doesn't have to go to unnatural state of samadhi or meditation to realize. Right? With his eyes fully open, he is in natural state. He sees the self only everywhere. The name and form, if you ignore, what is there is reality, which is self, which is his own nature. For him, there is nothing other than the self. The self alone is appearing as world. Are we clear? Should we stop? Should we stop? Okay. Self alone appears as world. Okay? So, do you understand the difference between the Jnani's perception and Adnani's perception? Both will perceive the same thing. Apple is perceived as apple only. But first, before perceiving the apple, self-consciousness appears. Then the apple consciousness appears. Jnani's focus is on the consciousness aspect. The name and form keep changing. The consciousness is the reality. Sat, it doesn't change. Okay? Whereas the ignorant person is always focused on the form, name and form. Then same way, this is about an object. Now, Jnani interacts with the person. Let's say he interacts with you. He interacts with her. Right? So, this is a person. I told you about object, how he perceives. Now, when Jnani interacts with you, Jnani interacts with another person, the person speaks. The person talks. The person sees other person. I can say he sees or she sees, she hears, she talks. So what does Jnani perceive? Jnani perceives he or she is not the body but pure consciousness, unqualified consciousness as the person, speaking through the person. Unconscious, his importance is not on the body aspect or the personality aspect. His focus is on the consciousness aspect of the person. An ignorant person focuses on the human aspect, whereas Jnani focuses on the being aspect of the reality. So somebody focuses, Jnani sees not the body and mind, but the consciousness. Consciousness is unconditioned consciousness, which is his own self. Jnani sees his own self speaking to him in the form of another body. The self alone is seen. Am I making sense? The focus of Jnani has shifted from the body and mind to the consciousness. An ignorant person focuses only on the body and mind. Right? This we see in the common day-to-day living also. Different people have different focus. Okay? If somebody wants to join military, the military, they measure the person's height, weight, and his stamina, how much he can run. Their focus is entirely on the body. Okay? But the same person, if he wants to go to software industry, they don't even see his height and weight. They see how intelligent is. His intelligence is measured. The focus of the software industry is intelligence. The focus of the military is on the body. Similarly, the focus of Jnani is on the consciousness. Right? All the three see same thing. So Jnani always, the sage always focus on the consciousness aspect of all phenomena. existence, consciousness aspect of all phenomena rather than the form. Right? A person goes to jewelry shop with his wife. Okay. The jeweler shows lot of gold jewelries, necklace, chain, and wife is fascinated by the shape of necklace, glittering necklace. The wife is only able to see the form of necklace. But husband is not able to see the necklace at all. He is seeing the purse, the money. Okay. The gold jeweler only sees how much gold is there in the necklace, how much gold he can sell. 10 grams or 12 grams of gold he is going to sell. So each person looks at the world in a different way. A ignorant person looks the world in the name and form. A scientist looks at the world in terms of atoms and molecules. A chemist looks at the world in terms of chemicals. A biologist looks at the world, a human being, in terms of the organs, cells of the body. A Gnani looks at the world and himself in terms of consciousness. The perspective of Gnani is different. So because consciousness is God, Gnani sees God all the time. It doesn't mean that his eyesight has changed. His perspective has changed. Are we clear? So that's why somebody asked Kabir Das ji, Kabir Das ji, you are a Muslim. You are not allowed to go to a Hindu temple. You are not allowed to go to a masjid. How do you pray to God? So Kabir Das ji says, whatever I see is Ram. Whatever I hear is Ram. Whatever I touch is Ram. Wherever I walk is Ram. So it doesn't mean that something has happened to the eyes of Kabir Das. Something has happened to the ears of Kabir Das. His perspective has changed. The perspective of looking at the world. So the Gnani's perspective is always Sat Chit Ananda, the consciousness in him and in the world as the basis for perception. He doesn't see the snake, he sees the rope. But in the sense, perception of Gnani and Adnani is same. Both see the snake because the lighting condition is like that.
Sense organ.
Yeah, but sense organs are giving the same input. But Gnani knows it's a rope. Like that, Gnani knows anything which he sees, he knows it's only existence, consciousness, bliss. Satchidananda, he is seen in that form. God alone is appearing in all the forms. In the form of a flower, in the form of a tree, in the form of a mountain, in the form of wind, in the form of fire, in the form of human being. This is the vision of a Gnani. He sees one in all, the self in all, and all in self. Right? So this is the difference between the vision of a person who is in Sahaja Samadhi, Sahaja Sthiti, and an ignorant person. He doesn't see, there is no duality for a Gnani. It's all non-dual, there is no two. Okay? The consciousness is not an object, it's a subject. So that's why I can't say it's oneness, he says. Oneness means there's always an object is coming to picture. He sees non-dual, no other than the self. Doesn't mean that his eyesight has changed, his perception is same, but his understanding, deep-rooted understanding is different. Right? Okay. So that's why Sri Shankara says, for a Gnani, the world of object is oblation in the fire of knowledge. So a person does oblation, yadna, he offers ghee to God in the form of fire. Swaha, something he offers in fire. Something he offers in the rice, he offers in fire. But whatever Gnani sees becomes an offering to the consciousness. Whatever Gnani hears becomes an offering to consciousness. It becomes an oblation, ahuti. How does it become an ahuti? I see a flower. Okay? The flower is the knowledge of name and form of the flower is a thought. The flower knowledge appears. The knowledge becomes the experience, knowing. After that, the knowledge is who experiences it? Consciousness. The flower is experiencing consciousness in the form of knowledge, right? The flower enters into the mind in the form of thought, which is actually becomes a knowledge, which is a name and form, and it ends up in knowing. The end result is knowing. The consciousness is the fire into which the flower has become an oblation. First it became a thought becomes a knowledge, name and form. Name and form is understood. Understanding in the consciousness. Over. It becomes oblation. Just like when you offer ghee into the fire burns it. So, any sense input becomes thought, knowledge. Knowledge ends up in knowing, understanding. Over. That's the oblation. Are you getting what I'm saying? Every experience becomes an offering to consciousness. Every experience is ultimately for consciousness, right? For a Gnani, every experience is offering to consciousness. For an ignorant person, every offering becomes an experience for me, the self, body and mind, which is object. When Gnani eats the food is an offering to consciousness. The food, there is a taste. The taste is the knowledge. The knowledge ends up in knowing. That's the experience. The experience of eating food is a conscious experience. Brahmarpanam. That's why it said, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnao, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahmakarma samadhina. We chant this mantra before eating food. When it's told in the form of oblation, right? When you offer something into the fire, let's say you offer ghee into the fire as an offering to God, the fire is Brahman, consciousness. Ghee is also consciousness. The person who is offering also is consciousness. So Gnani's vision is consciousness. So when he sees the flower, it's a flower consciousness. And the knowledge of the flower is knowledge. It is actually, he becomes conscious of the knowledge of the flower. And it ends up in experience and knowingness, understanding. So that's how the flower becomes an oblation. So he doesn't have to do a separate puja. Whatever he experiences in the world becomes an oblation to the consciousness, offering to consciousness, not to the individual ego. Whereas in case of a common man, it becomes an offering to the ego. Are you able to understand? For Gnani, the sight, sound, touch, everything becomes an offering to consciousness. Chaitanyam. Everything is his consciousness and everything becomes an offering for the consciousness. A flower consciousness becomes a knowledge of the flower, knowledge consciousness, and it becomes experience in terms of understanding. It's offered. Right? So Sri Shankaracharya says, for a Gnani, for a sage, all sense organs are offering as oblation to the Atma, the self. Right? Are we clear? So, when we are experiencing the world, the experience, I always said, is non-dual. If I see a flower, the seer and seen are one. As long as the experience is there. The moment mind comes to come into picture, it sees that this is a flower, this is me. Right? A Gnani, there's no triputi. The seer, seen, as seeing, the threefold split is not there. Gnani sees, whenever he experiences the world, he experiences one experience, after that another experience, after that another experience. One experience. He sees one. The two doesn't come into picture at all. The mind doesn't come into picture. Right? The moment I see flower, the flower seeing experience of flower of one flower, one experience is there. But the mind comes into picture, says this is flower, this I am seeing, this here seen duality comes into picture because the mind comes into picture. Okay? So duality comes in picture immediately. Whereas Jnani's experience is seeing the one, seeing the one, seeing the one. The duality doesn't appear in between. Because one consciousness, one reality only is being seen. So, Adnani or ignorant person's experience, the moment I see the experience is one. There's no dual. Immediately it gets split into two. Seer and see. The duality comes into picture. One becomes two immediately after the experience. Because mind comes into picture, says, I am Prabhu seeing this flower. The naming happens. In case of Jnani, there's only experience. Experience of one, experience of one, experience of one. There may be many experiences, but always experience of one experience only. This two-ness doesn't come into picture. The duality doesn't come into picture. Because he is experiencing only one. The conscious, the existence conscious only is experiencing. There's no naming happening. Even though it happens, naming happens, he ignores the name as witness, as unreal. So Jnani can experience the world as consciousness. One experience. Then he is established in Kutastha. Or he can operate as Sakshi. When he operates as Sakshi, he sees the world, he sees the duality, but ignores the name and form. Okay? He ignores the ego which comes up and stays as Sakshi when he experiences the world. So it's like this. The five fingers are there. The five fingers are this finger, this one finger, this one finger. If I see, these are one finger. But all this one finger is nothing but my hand. These are all, the fingers are manyness of my one hand. Fingers are manyness of one hand. So Jnani's vision of the world is manyness of the one reality. His focus is on the one behind the many. One appearing as many. So what is the difference between the sleep of Jnani and Adnani? A sleep is an ignorant state. For a sleep, for most of the people, for an ignorant person, the sleep is an unconscious state. I don't know what's happening in the sleep. Sleep is, it gives rest, but it's unconscious. But Jnani knows, in sleep, he is in the nature of the self. The understanding has come in the waking state of Jnani. Okay, what is the deep sleep state? In the deep sleep state, there is no body, there is no mind, there is no world. Right? Then only the pure self is shining in deep sleep state. So my nature is fully experienced in deep sleep state. This is what Jnani knows. Okay? Whereas an ignorant person, Adnani, considers sleep as a state of unconsciousness. Okay? So there is always something called Atma, the self, and Anatma, non-self. The self and non-self. Atma, Anatma. Right? What happens to Adnani about in the deep sleep? Anatma, the non-self, the body and mind in ignorance. He doesn't know. It is forgotten. He cannot see it. He doesn't know the self also. Atma also is not known for ignorant person. He doesn't know Atma. He doesn't know Anatma in deep sleep. Deep sleep is same state for Jnani and Adnani. Understanding is different in the waking state. Adnani says deep sleep. What is there? I don't know. Are you there? I don't know. That means he is ignorant of the self and he is ignorant of the world. He is ignorant of the Atma and Anatma. Are we clear? Adnani. Right? Whereas Jnani knows In deep sleep, Anatma, which is body, mind and world, is merged with Atma. That's why it's not there. And Atma alone is shining in deep sleep. This is Gnani knows very well. Gnani's understanding of deep sleep is different from the Adnani's understanding. Also, Adnani says, I don't know. In deep sleep, I don't know. What is there? Who is this knower in the waking state? The knower is the ego. Right? Any experience, let's say an apple experience, there's an apple thought called idam vritti, and I know the apple called aham vritti. I and aham vritti and idam vritti is there in the apple experience. It's called ego. Okay? Who is the knower? Aham vritti, or the ego, I thought. So Adnani says, I am not there now. He is telling correctly. The ego is not there. Ego has merged with the self, Atma. Real you is there. Atma alone is there. Apparent you is merged with the real you. Apparent word, the word which appeared also is merged with the self. Self alone is there. This Gnani knows in the waking state. Adnani doesn't know. Right? For him, the consciousness means knowing something. The pure knowing where awareness is there, he doesn't understand that. Pure knowing awareness is there in the deep sleep state. Right? So are you able to understand the difference between the deep sleep state of a Gnani and Adnani? Person who is in Sahaja Sthiti and person who is ignorant. Then, in the waking state, Gnani is able to merge the non-self, Anatma, with the self and remain in Sahaja Sthiti. He is able to merge Anatma, which is the body, mind and world, into the self. Recognize everything as consciousness in the waking state. This is the difference between a Gnani and Adnani. So Gnani doesn't move from his natural state all the time. In the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state or Samadhi, he doesn't move. He is always there, established in that Sahaja. Even Adnani is also like that. Ignorant person also is that, but he is not able to recognize that. The sleep is same for Gnani and Adnani, but understanding is different for Gnani and Adnani. In the waking state also, okay, thoughts appear and disappear. Thoughts appear and disappear. But background, the natural state is already there. Thoughts appear in consciousness and disappear in consciousness. Between two thoughts, there is a gap. In that, pure consciousness only is there, awareness only is there, which is your natural state. Gnani knows that, Gnani is aware of that. Adnani, ignorant person, is not aware of that. He again and again falls back on the I thought, the ego thought, and says, I am that. Are we clear? So Gnani, for Adnani also, and death, is there a difference between the death of a Gnani and Adnani? For a person, we call normally person, when he dies, his heartbeat stops. His body functioning stops. That means his prana, which is life force, has moved out from the body. That's called, we call it death. The death of a person we call as life force going out of the body. That's what we call as death. After that, body becomes unconscious, or body becomes dead matter, then we are cremating the body. Is death common to both Gnani and Adnani? It's similar. But Gnani has died earlier. For Gnani, death of the body is not death at all. For Gnani, the death of the ego is real death. Death of the I thought is real death. When does the I thought die? I thought dies when you recognize real I. I thought is imposter. I thought is false entity.